come from all over the world, the best motocrossers from 29 nations. There's nearly 100 of them here, getting ready for the Motocross des Nations. It's the sort of world championship of motocrossers, really, from Schwanenstadt. And you can see there's plenty of swans around on the cymbals in this lovely Austrian town here. But the peace and tranquility will be broken when we set off with 125cc, 250 and 500cc action, all taking place in the same venue. Let's have a look back over the depressing years of 87 to 92, when it really was a whitewash by the States. Have a look at the second and third figures there, and it gives you an idea of who to keep an eye open for the runners-up. And thousands, they reckon 20 to 25,000 have turned up here. It's a beautiful natural arena. Come to see the American team, definitely one of the favourites, with Kwiatkowski, McGrath and Emig. Belgium are strong, Barefoots, Everts and DeWitt there. Well, Kurt Nickel with Gerard Smith and Paul Cooper, no Rob Herring because of injury. France, Fred Vial on a 500cc machine. It's his debut on 500. He's not that happy with that. Sweden, at the end of the motocross season, were looking very strong. And of course, the Dutch team. Pedro Tractor, the new world champion. Dave Strivos, so much experience. And Evertson there too. Italy, as long as Sandro Puzar can keep it all together with Bartolini and Fenton, they stand a good chance as well. Now, this is the way it works. Each class gets 2 cracks in the heats, and there are 3 heats overall. Let's find out how the Americans faring.
What are the chances of Team USA?
Well, I think we're just, we're going to go out and go for a good start and ride a smooth race and, get in the lead and get there as soon as we can. And, hopefully my teammate will be close behind me leading the 125 class and just go out there and win as many races as we can.
Well, they line up at the beginning of this Motocross the Nations in a very different way. 2 lines of them because there's so many riders out there. This is 250cc and 500cc, and it's very tactical to see who goes on the front rows. A bit of, very physical stuff happening there, and it was Kristinov who lost it, and he did not upset any of the other riders, thank heavens. And the whole shot looks as if the Swedish rider Jörgen Nilsson has gone through on the big 500 Honda. And you would expect the big 500 machines to make a showing in the early stages, but out in front is Jörgen Nilsson and local Austrian rider Siegfried Bauer on the Kawasaki second. Marnik Barefoots is in 3rd position at the moment, and I have to say at this stage, to see Marnik looking so competitive is extraordinary, because very sad news, his father died on Friday, but he's out there showing what a true sportsman he is, moving up into 2nd place for Belgium. Now, we have to try and keep you in touch with what's happening as far as the 500 and the 125cc positions are concerned as we're running. But let's look at the front runners at the moment. We can expect the 500s to be out there in front, but the Bartolini 125 Honda's going well. And of course, Jeff Emig from the States on his 125 Yamaha is right in there, and they're running down in sort of 10th, 11th, 12th position at the moment. But look how well Nilsson is going. Marnik Barefoot 2nd. And we've still got the Austrian rider in 3rd place. Edwin Evanson is making a strong pull up through the field. This course is a lovely course. It's been raining overnight, and you can see up in the higher reaches, well, Kwiatkowski, look, starting to make a bit of a pull through after a dodgy start. And these numbers, of course, are rather strange for us all, aren't they? But Mike Kwiatkowski has got number 1 on board. Number 13 is Jörgen Nilsson. And everyone expecting Kwiatkowski, once he got the feel of this circuit, to do exactly what he's doing there and power his way through. I have to say, he wasn't very happy in free training. He ended up with 22nd fastest time, but he's certainly on form now. And as I say, the conditions have changed quite a lot. They're a bit wet at the top, but they're starting to dry out. And as the day progresses, I think it's looking very good for the weekend. Now, there you go. Those are some of your 125cc placings. And Bartolini has moved ahead of Jeff Emig, and Emig is not happy about that. There goes Emig through now. And 22 was Søren Mortensen. And that is Werner de Witt, who's on the Suzuki, not looking all that happy. Now then, here's the action. Kwiatkowski in second place, starting to challenge Jürgen Nielsen, and is he going to go through? Because every score is important here. The way they score it, of course, is they add all the points together for the 3 heats, so there's 6 sets of points, and they drop the lowest score at the end of the day. So there's a lot of tactics involved here. That's how close they are. Just coming up to some of the back markers, and that's going to be very crucial in this situation. Is he going through Kwiatkowski? No, the door is closed by Nielsen. And there'll be a lot of back markers and slower traffic because it's 125cc and 500cc. So the field is very, very spread out on this beautiful natural course here. Oh, and he goes through. Good clean pass by Kwiatkowski. Can he hold on to it? Nielsen now in second. Barefoot still third. And Edwin Evertson starting to move up through now. Look at this again. Chooses his rut. Opens up on the gas. Accelerates away. The Kawasaki just pulling in front of the 500 Honda. Bartolini still holding off Emig. And that's a back marker you saw there. There is Emig. That's the sort of lead he's got. So we've got an American 1 and an American 2, and those are the important points at the moment. We've got a Swede with a first position and an Italian with a first position, and that's the way we have to work it out between the 125cc and the 500cc classes. The win goes to Kwiatkowski, ahead of Nielsen, ahead of Barefoots. Evertson managed to clinch 4th place. A great ride by the Austrian Siegfried Bauer on his Kawasaki. Looking down on the 125cc's, Bartolini from Emig. Then there was quite a big gap until Joachim Carlsen came across the line in 3rd. So this is confirmation of the 500cc's. So the Americans with maximum points on that one, or minimum points, because they don't actually give them points, they take the place numbers as the points. Bartolini doing a good one for Italy there. Jeff Emig not quite managing it, and he actually lodged an appeal against the way Bartolini overtook him, but it was thrown out, I'm glad to say. And a bit of work on the course. And we look at the points at the moment. That's the way it works out. Sweden 2nd, Belgium 3rd, Italy 4th, New Zealand in 5th place, with Daryl King producing a good 500cc result on his Kawasaki. And time before the next heat to have a chat with Greg Albertine.
What's the difference between Motocross the Nations and normal motocross racing?
Well, for me, nothing. You know, I'm looking at it as going all out and to try and win, for sure. You know, I won the World Championship this year, and it's important for me to win this race, so I'm going to do my best.
What are the chances for your team?
I think the chances are good. I mean, we're going to do as best as we can. I'm not expecting to win. There's a lot of good teams out there, Holland, Belgium, United States. But I think we'll be happy with a top 5. You never know, possibly a top 3.
Well, the South African team managed by Tony Albertine, Greg's dad, and the American Roy Jansen, who manages the American team, wandering around looking smug and confident. 24 degrees centigrade, standing by for the 125 and 250cc. So the 125 boys are going to be a bit tired because it's only an hour since their last heat, and away they go, 2 rows. The tactics, a lot of people deciding to choose who's going to go where and who's going to do what, and who gets the whole shot. Alessandro Puzar on the Yamaha. A bit of a pile-up on that hill. It's very, very steep, that little section there, which is normally quite good for the start because it slows everyone down. Puzar out in the lead. And right behind him there, wearing number 5, is Stefan Everts on the 250cc Suzuki, chasing the Yamaha. Kurt Nickel is out there. Kurt, who went so well in practice, put in some really fast times. He loves this Motocross the Nations, and I don't know where he is at the moment. I can't see him, but he is certain to be out there. Now then, McGrath, he's had a brilliant season. So here they come. Everts is just looking for the right place to make his move, and through goes Kurt Nickel there, and 44 is Dieter Lacher. Greg Albertine down in 7th place, and Fred Bolly having a go, number 11. They're really quite grouped up here, as one would expect. Not such a big difference between the 125 and 250 boys. And as this course dries out, they are really starting to fly, these guys. They're averaging in excess of 45, 46 kilometers an hour, and Albertine is absolutely flying. He's already put in a lap of 48.573 kilometers an hour. And Everts goes through. It had to be, I think. He was looking so strong. Now, this is where it gets really complicated, because with Stefan out in front, Alex Pouzard obviously was looking to at least get another high mark. I wonder if he can hang on to that second place. And if we look down the running order, Jeff Emig is now the highest placed 125cc man. There goes Stefan, a beautiful clean pass. Takes that bump and rides it in the air. Beautiful. Emig just winding it open through there, taking Yves de Maria. So you can see it's the States 1 in 125cc and France 2 in 125cc, and Dave Strybos for Holland. Whoa, and there's a bit of a pile up by Paul Cooper. He just misread that rut. Jumps on it, tries to bump start it on it, and he gets it going again. So he'll be annoyed with that, won't he? So Bartolini actually falling back in the 125 placings at the moment. McGrath and Kurt Nickel having a nice little set to. And they are really flying up the front end. Stefan looking supreme here. The Belgians have got a very good chance. Marcus Hansen has stalled, but he gets that going again. DeWitt and Farrelly had a bit of a crash on the first lap, which was a shame, right on the tabletop by the paddock. And there was nothing they could do about it. They're quite a lot. There's so many nations here with inexperienced riders that you're ending up with all sorts of Eastern European riders over the backsides of bumps where you can't see them. You come flying over the top, which is what happened to DeWitt and Farrelly. No one's blaming anybody. And Pouzard riding beautifully as well, glancing over his shoulder to see whether he's safely in second position. But I got news for him, because Kurt Nickel is starting to make big impression now. Here he goes, look, Kurt Nickel having a go at Jeremy McGrath and absolutely screaming past him. Into third position goes the British champion. He's had such a fabulous season. He's on a real high. He certainly has got to be one of the big favourites. Look at them playing back and forth, cat and mouse here. But Kurt Nickel has certainly got the measure of Jeremy McGrath. But no one can measure up to Stefan Everts on his 250 machine today, as he takes the checkered flag for Heat 2 of the Motocross of the Nations. Some really interesting team news while we're waiting for the riders to come across. We hear that Everts is going to be riding for Kawasaki and Jan de Groot next year, along with Joachim Karlsson. More on the team news a little later on, but those are the results for 250cc, boys. And the 125, well, Emig beat Karlsson into second. Dave Strybos, Bartolini moved up into fourth. Werner de Witt recovered his composure to end up with a fifth position. Yves de Maria went out on lap 7, which was a shame. So here's how the standings look. And at the moment, there's 5 points in it. Great Britain have moved up into 5th place. Italy are looking very strong, you know, because we've got the 250 and 500cc boys yet to race here. Well, lots of expectation as we get ready for the third and final heat. 250 and 500cc. They're lined up. There's been a lot of argy-bargy. There's a problem with Italy not having turned up, and everyone's looking over their shoulders. But they have been excluded from the start, and I'll try and get you some more news about that later on as we prepare for the third and final heat of the biggest motocross event in the world, the Motocross of the Nations. Who gets the whole shot? Well, it's Kurt Nickel absolutely screaming away. He chose the right line, kept well clear of the trouble. There's that nasty little dip before the hill, and McGrath is down. Wow, now that's really going to affect the American standings. Now let's see what Kurt can do. Fred Bolley is chasing him really hard. Kurt's pulling away up the hill. And if Fred and Kurt hang hang on to this sort of situation, mind you, that's Marnik Barefoots. Isn't he having a great weekend considering all his bad news? Everts is there as well. But if we can keep the Americans out of the top 5, it could be a lot of different things when we come to the end of this event. Now watch this man, the British champion, Kurt Nickel, riding so beautifully with the best in the world riding behind him. Kudrowski is another American who's just lost a few places there. Not that we've got anything against the Americans, but my word, they've dominated this event over the last 13 years. And all of the teams would like to see a change on that leaderboard. Well, it's hot stuff in the 500cc class at the moment, and they're only 2 or 3 places behind the 250cc boys. This is some of the closest racing we've seen in the Motocross of the Nations. So there's Barefoots and Nielsen. Where's Greg Albertine? Well, he's a little bit further down as Fred Bolly goes through. They're having a really good tussle. Bolly and Nickel. Nickel actually got shunted off by Bolly at one stage when they discovered an Eastern European over the backside of a bump. But he's starting to make a bit of a comeback now, Nickel again. Now for the South Africans, Colin Dugmore is quite well placed on a 500cc machine at the moment. He's 1, 2, 3 for about 5th down in the standings. And Kurt Nickel is certainly making an impression on Fred Bolly, and Stefan Everts is also looking strong. Jorgen Nielsen on the 500s. They really are close together, the 250 and the 500 boys. Great racing here. As you can see, the weather has improved tremendously. And that circuit is quite benevolent in a funny sort of way. Some nice lines developing, and the rider's able to take the lines that suit them. They're not being thrown around too much. And Greg Albertine stalled. He's going again. I wonder if he looks as if he's cruising back to the pits, to be honest with you. Now then, it really is all down to Kudrowski, I think, at this stage, because I'm trying to do my mathematics here, but Kudrowski has got to get up and get a decent place in the 500cc's as Nickel goes into the lead in the 250. He retakes Bolly, and that's just back markers it. That's Greg Albertine they're going past there, and he's not having a good third heat. So Kudrowski out to 3rd position for the 500s. And Kurt Nickel just storming ahead now. So let's have a look at the final situation. A great ride by Nickel. The Italians blew it completely. They never even made it to the pre-park. They say they were having a discussion about tactics, who they were going to put on the front row and who they weren't. We reckon that they got the starting time wrong. It was supposed to be 10-2, and they thought it was at the top of the hour. Here's the result of the 250cc's. Another brilliant ride by Kurt. Stefan ended up 3rd, Greg 4th, and Diet Malaka in 5th position. The 500cc's, what a great ride by Marnik Barefoots. And our condolences go out to him, but great riding. Jorgen Nielsen 2nd, Mike Kudrowski 3rd. Now, you won't believe how close the results are. If only 1 point. If only the Belgian riders could have squeezed out 1 more point. And we're a bit behind in the running there. But 4th position isn't